Unite!
Welcome to Trainers Unite, a Pokemon Unite podcast. I'll be your host, Josh, aka JSide, joined by my co-host, Andrew, aka Attilio the Hun. This podcast is for any and all players of Pokemon Unite that are interested in a little discussion about the state of the game and any relevant updates, as well as our opinions and experiences with the game ourselves. Today, we're going to be talking about our experience with the game after its first balance patch, version 1.1.1.4. Now, today's podcast will be broken down into 3 sections: news, community, and experience. How are you doing today, Andrew? You ready to dive in?
I am ready. I'm woken up, got my coffee, and had a little bit of a nap, and I think I'm ready to get right into this.
All right, then let's get started with the news. Now, for you Gengar mains, as I'm sure you know, Gengar broke just after the recent update dropped. For those of you that don't know, his Hex would sometimes do no damage, effectively making his entire damage output unreliable. Right? This was a bug, just to be clear.
Yep.
And it was then fixed again in a hot patch soon after. So, I mean, to me, this shows that they are paying attention to these kind of game-breaking bugs and are relatively quick to fix them. Right? So that's just one piece of news, one thing that went down after the last update. Now, the other thing I want to mention is, as of right now, they have some new skins in the shop. Fashionable style Absol, Gardevoir, and Greninja are available right now for some of those sparkly gems. So
Yeah.
if you are interested, if you play Absol, Gardevoir, Greninja, why not? Here's a new skin for you. So go ahead and pay for it, support the game, and if you really want to, and have some fun playing your favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, and this actually marks the first Pokemon to have more than one skin, being Greninja.
Yeah, Greninja has his hero style. Now he has fashionable style. So, and even though we have a small pool of Pokemon, we're definitely, I think most of us are hoping for more costumes just to mix up the feeling of the game a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. So, we're also still waiting on skins from the Japanese beta. I wouldn't consider this a leak because in the Japanese beta there were skins available then that are not available now. There's no release date for these yet, but I did want to mention them real quick just so you guys could look out for them. There are pictures of the skins floating around online. You can check them out. But there are skins for Charizard, Pikachu, Lucario, Talonflame, Mr. Mime, and Alolan Ninetales. So if you play any of those Pokemon and are interested in a new skin, I hope you're excited. I hope they bring those skins over from the beta. Some of them are really cool. I definitely recommend looking them up when you get the time. Ninetales, right?
Ninetales.
Sacred style Ninetales. Very
You're going to see it
cool,
everywhere.
Japanese Japanese inspired looking outfit, so definitely one to look out for. Now, new Pokemon. We got Gardevoir with this recent patch. Gardevoir is like a sort of bursty mage type attacker, and is the only Pokemon so far to be added to the roster post-release. Now, when they announced Gardevoir, they showed Blastoise was coming to the game as well, but still no release date to Blastoise yet. But Blastoise was playable in the Japanese mobile beta, so there are videos of his moves floating around the internet, and a lot of people are kind of talking about what kind of Pokemon he's going to be, how he's going to fit into the meta. For what we understand, he's a defender from his playstyle in the beta, so we're definitely excited for Blastoise. But all of a sudden, without any warning, last night, Blissey was suddenly announced, and Blissey is coming out tomorrow. So before Blastoise still without a release date. Blastoise was in the beta, but Blissey is coming out, and which is obviously really exciting. It's just really interesting to think we have no idea at this point how they're going to release Pokemon or how often they're going to release Pokemon. So it was really a nice surprise just seeing a new Pokemon that we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
And we still don't know when Blastoise is coming.
Yeah, there was I believe, I can't remember where I saw it, but I think I remember seeing a leak that actually did have Blissey on it like maybe last week. And I think there was a third Pokemon that was also still not Blastoise.
It is interesting that we are getting a Pokemon before the Pokemon that was announced. So
Yep.
We'll have to see how it goes from here. Who knows how long until Blastoise actually comes out, but we are getting Blissey tomorrow for sure. Now,
finally, Gen 2 rep. Finally.
Right, and we're not just getting Blissey. We're also getting
Woo!
a balancing patch, right?
Woo!
And so in this balancing patch, right, there's a couple things we want to say that you guys should know about this balancing patch. Now, the first thing is you can go check out this balancing patch right now on the official Pokemon Unite website. But just like with the last patch, if you listen to our last podcast, but also have seen online, the Japanese and the English translations of the patch notes differ. There are things that are not translated into the English version at all that are very vague, but are very important. So, we're going to just share some of those things really quick. I want to start with just by saying that the majority of the patch notes are about bug fixes. And that also they say in the patch notes that there are shop updates, but they are not specific. So whether that means there's going to be a new kind of shop update, or whether there's going to be new costumes, new cosmetics, new holowares, we don't know. But it doesn't actually say anything past that on either the English or Japanese. Yeah. Now, if we're looking at the Pokemon balancing, Crustle and Garchomp were pretty much given buffs across the board. And Slowbro, Snorlax, and Greninja were balanced. So they took a little and they gave a little to kind of maybe change up the way people use their moves, build their moves, just like they did when the first balancing patch. So very interesting because, of course, Slowbro, Snorlax, and Greninja are very, very popular. You see them almost every game. So hopefully this kind of changes up the meta a little bit, especially with the Garchomp buffs and the Crustle buffs.
Yeah.
Now, about the part we were talking about not translated into English properly, there's a couple of key bullet points here. Now, the first one is that Gardevoir, if you pick Psychic, the attack has the added effect of lowering the target's special defense when it hits. Now, this is said in the Japanese patch notes next to basic attack bug fixes, but in the English patch it just says Psychic bug fixes. So this is not a bug fix. This seems to be a completely new effect added onto this ability. So hopefully they clarify that in the future. But just something to be aware of when we're comparing the Japanese and English patch notes. Now, Pokemon, so this is a really, really important one. At the very bottom of the Japanese patch notes, it says Other. There's a section entitled Other, and it says Pokemon are invincible for a short time after respawning. So I believe that this is to prevent people from coming out of their base and immediately being stomped on by the enemy team who's right there, right? Giving you a chance to defend your base. Now, I don't know if this is actually, we don't know if this only applies to some quick battle maps or quick battles in general or standard battles, but we can assume that it's going to apply across the board, but we don't know yet. We're going to have to wait for some more testing.
Yeah.
But it does seem like a really important thing to leave out of the English patch notes. Right. So our last two things I wanted to mention were the eject button and the goal getter battle items. Now these items in the English patch notes, they say that they had stat increase for goal getter and stat decrease for eject button. But actually in the Japanese notes, they're more specific and they say eject button has an increased cooldown. So it takes longer to get eject button back because it's very popular and I think everyone's using it right now. And goal getter, cooldown is decreased, so they're kind of encouraging people to use it to score goals faster. So, which I think can come in, now that I think about it, that could probably come in really handy end game after 2 minutes, even without Zapdos.
Yeah. So, and a lot of these item changes and item buffs, especially once people actually play the game long enough to get a lot of these items, to level 30. This is really going to shake up the game and the meta in general, how you really build your Pokemon. Because, even, looking, small plug to, PokemonUnite.gg, you can look at all these different builds and being like, whoa, this could really change the game up a lot. But not very useful until these items are figured out.
Right, so just like with anything, we can look at these patch notes on paper, we can see the changes, and we can imagine how they're going to fit into the meta, but we won't see how they affect the game until they're actually in. Yeah. And if they do work as intended and change the game as intended. So that's all we have on the patch notes. That is the end of our news segment. Thank you so much. I hope you guys can get that information and use it going forward. Now, let's get into our part 2 of today's podcast, which is talking about stories from the community.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been doing a lot of digging personally in Reddit, on Facebook groups, in YouTube, anywhere I can see what the community is talking about with Pokemon Unite. And there is a lot of people talking about the same things,
Same stuff.
right? So one thing I just wanted as a quick warning that I heard about is that some people are getting reported for voice chat, even without using voice chat.
Yeah, it's
It
like
seems
how?
it seems like people are just picking something to report people for when they don't like their behavior. So I just want to warn you guys to be careful out there, stay positive, try not to do any behavior that can be considered reportable. Okay,
Yeah.
then maybe you probably won't get reported for voice chat and then banned for the
Yeah.
game from a couple days.
Yesterday,
Right?
or maybe not yesterday, 2 days ago, me and Kira, when I was playing on stream, you can check it in my VOD. We both got reported for voice chatting. And we're like, what? So yeah, this has happened. And we were very confused. We thought it was like a new update coming or something.
Right?
We didn't
So
get any penalties towards us. So maybe even if people are able to find out a way to report you for these reasons, it might not affect your play rating or your rating thing that you have.
well,
But
I've heard people have actually gotten banned from the
have
game
they? Oh gosh.
temporarily. Yeah, just not be
Oh
able to
man.
play because of multiple reports. So I
Voice
would say,
chatting.
yeah, be careful. So
Yeah.
not really something you can. I mean, obviously you're not voice chatting, so you don't need to not voice chat. But
Yeah.
problem is that people are just trying to report other people because they don't agree with behavior. So just try to be overall positive, help out your teams.
Yep.
You know, just if you're gonna go into rank, just try. Don't
Yeah.
AFK. Don't
Always
leave.
try.
You know.
There's always a
So
chance until Zapdos is gone. Then there
so
isn't.
something that's just something I wanted to share with you guys. Now, there is a bug. Now Andrew and I
Mm.
experienced this earlier today. Um,
Oh.
the scoring animations take a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're toward the end of the game, especially within the last 2 seconds, when you could get that clutch score, that 40 times 2, that 80 points you need to win the game
Mm.
on either quick battle, standard battle, anywhere you're scoring. There are a lot of clips online of people scoring in that last 2 seconds, sometimes with a whole full second left before the timer goes down.
Yep.
And those points do not count.
Yep.
You do the whole entire animation, you slam dunk it, and you can walk around a little bit afterwards, and you still have all your points. You never scored them. And
Yep.
there are a lot of times where that second makes a difference, and many people feel cheated out of scoring but not being given the score in the end.
Mm.
And so I think that that's something just to be aware of, whether it's a bug or whether it's something that is with the game servers. Maybe like the game stops taking score into account a second early so that it can calculate.
Scores. Yeah.
Hopefully they fix this problem because it really feels like you're scoring and not getting anything. It feels like a bug. Feels like it's not intended to be this way.
Yeah.
But there are many, many clips of this online that show this. So we just really hope they fix this. I just think you guys should be aware of this. The community is talking about this, and I
Mm.
hope that the developers do see it. Right. So we've experienced this together, right, Andrew?
Yeah, not only have we experienced together, but even 2 days ago in my climbing stream I was doing, I experienced this myself, scoring myself. The animation went off. It showed how much points I was getting. I think that's how I remember correctly. It showed how much points I was getting, but it said time's up, and I could still see the Pokeball next to my character's health bar. So I was like, that didn't count, did it? And sure
Right.
enough, it was also the deciding factor between us winning and losing.
Right.
So it's very frustrating to be like, I just made a clutch play. I was able to sneak around or wipe the enemy team at the very last second and try to score, or a very long charge, and then all of a sudden it just gets ripped out from under you, even though you've got like a full second left.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating.
In a game where every second counts after the 2 minute mark, that can
Mm-hmm.
change the entire game, it's really frustrating for that last minute second that you thought you had to not actually count,
Yeah.
without any indication of it not counting. So yeah, it's really, I really hope they fix it. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So we have this is going on, some other things the community is talking about. Now, for those of you that are getting closer and closer to master rank, right?
Woo!
There are master ranks sabotaging games. Now, I have not experienced this myself personally,
I
but
have.
there are many, many Reddit posts, and it sounds like Andrew has experienced this as well,
Yep.
where masters are sabotaging ranked games. Now, we don't know for what reason. Obviously, everyone's different, but many, many people go into a game. They're trying to level up. They see Master on their team. They go, "Great, I got this." Masters are very skilled. They got to the highest rank. I should have a really good teammate in this Master player.
Mm.
And what happens is AFKing, troll picks, purposely dying to the enemy team without fighting, aka inting. Terrible experience for the people playing with these master players. And really,
All I can say is please don't be this person. People look up to the master rank,
Yeah.
and it's a goal for people. People want to be there, and the least you can do is if you're going into ranked mode, no matter what rank you are,
Yeah.
do your best,
Yeah.
right? Like you're there to be a teammate. You're there to play with teammates to be the best you can be, and doing these purposely negative things to affect the entire community and the other people you're playing with, it's just not cool.
It's
So,
scummy.
right, so let's not be that guy. If everyone that's listening to Trainers Unite, I know you aren't that person, so you know I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
So,
And also, yeah, and if you get a master player who just doesn't do anything and ends on purpose, report them. Like it's that's the minimum we can do, or at least reach out to the Pokemon company as well. Because every time me and Kira had a couple master players the other day, just stop. Or they were just like, and they were inting. We're just like, how are you in Masters? I even thought they were bots at one point because they were just doing so bad. But then I was like, no, they're not bots because they're doing some things that aren't bot behavior. So we just reported them, and it really shows that people suck sometimes, you know.
and let's just use what we have available to hopefully not let this behavior affect more
Continue.
people, right?
Yeah.
So be careful of that. Be aware of those master ranks. Now, there's two other things that I've been hearing a lot about in the community, and I've actually been seeing a lot of this in game more since I started reading about it. But two items, two held items: the scoring
Mhm.
shield and the buddy barrier, right?
Yep.
So, is the scoring shield slept on? Lots of people talk about scoring shield plays, and I've personally seen lots of people using it recently. It's actually, since I started hearing about it and started noticing it, I've actually become a little bit more frustrated realizing that like I cannot stop this person from scoring. Like, for those of you that don't know, that haven't gotten the item yet, or just aren't aware, the scoring shield is a held item that while scoring gives your Pokemon a shield of up to 10% of your max health at level 20. And while you have that shield, your scoring cannot be interrupted.
Yep.
So this allows you to mid-fight gain benefits of scoring much easier. Just as a reminder, whenever you score, you get experience and health, and you fill 10% of your night move meter, right?
Yep.
So mid-fight, early game, this can be very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And the other item, Buddy Barrier, right? A lot of people recommend this in the community. Now, Buddy Barrier is basically good on any Pokemon and is a game changer in team fights. When you use your Unite move, you and the nearby ally with the lowest HP will get shields based on your respective max HP, right?
Yes.
So at level 20, it's 40%. So let's say I'm a Snorlax and my teammate is a Cinderace. I use my ultimate, I use my Unite move, and 40% of my max HP I get a shield for, and Cinderace 40% of his max HP he gets a shield for. So multiple people having this in one team fight can really save your team.
Oh, yeah.
Can really get people to live in those late game fights, early game fights, whenever you name it.
Yep.
It makes you also encourages you to play with your team and not solo. So also very, very good incentive for team play.
Yeah.
Now, this can give you that little extra bit of life to survive. So if you are using Buddy Barrier, lots of people say just try to make sure you at least get your Unite move off in team fights. Make sure you save your Unite move for team fights. And just as a reminder, for those of you that do plan on using it, your Unite move, you get 4% towards your Unite move whenever you take down a neutral Pokemon, 10% when you score, and then it passively goes up slowly over time. So you can get it back pretty fast if you keep scoring quickly or if you just keep taking camps, neutral camps. Okay, neutral Pokemon. So, Andrew, Buddy Barrier, Score Shield, have you seen these? How have they affected you since you've been playing this past week?
So I've definitely seen it and realized it a lot more. Because originally I didn't even realize it. Because when I was starting my climb and even playing in some of the higher ranks recently, originally before the game developed a little bit more, no one was taking these things. Like, unless people were paying a lot of money, they didn't have some of these items or even cared to use them because they weren't upgraded.
Right.
But then I got into a match and I hit a Pokemon and he didn't stop scoring. And I was like, what? What's going on? And then I realized Buddy or Scoring Shield's a thing. I was like,
right.
That's right.
It feels like a glitch or something, right?
Yeah, I was like did he just glitch? I was like, no, that's an item. And seeing these two items, especially as I've been getting higher in the ranks recently, it makes me super excited for item comps in esports and even in bigger things. Because, you know, I am so excited for the fact that more items are getting experimented and used. Because these are your items, like, for example, from League of Legends where you build items in game. These are your build items in game, except you do it pre-battle. Or these are like your runes also. That's like another way to put it. These are your runes. Which, for those who don't know, runes are extra little stat modifiers and abilities you get pre-game. And it goes into game. Like, you attach them pre-game, and you have them in-game. And that's what this is. And
yeah,
it's
so like
cool.
with Pokemon, in Pokemon Unite, like what differs from like League of Legends and other MOBAs is usually in other MOBAs you can build your character around a certain playstyle or however you want, depending on your team, etc., etc. But in Pokemon Unite, you only have the option of the only way to customize your gameplay is to take different moves. On your Pokemon, you have two choices at certain levels, so you can take 2 moves in the end out of your 4 moves. And then you have these held items, right? Yeah. And of course you have battle items as well, but battle items just provide like a temporary stat boost. But these held items are persistent throughout the entire match. So you really, if you want to play a certain way, if you want to get in close to people, or you want to stay away from people, you want your attacks to do more damage, you want to score more, right? Like these items really allow you to customize it. And yeah, it does feel really cool to think that not everyone's going to be using the same 3 items because there's so many items.
Yeah, and this is a small little side note, but you mentioned total of 4 moves. You can only have 4 moves in Pokemon. Your basic attack, your Unite move, and then the 2 moves you take, and you have 4 moves. It makes sense now.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, you have to choose like which ones you want to learn, right? So
you got your basic attack, Unite, and the 2 specials. There you go.
Oh, wow. It's like they thought about it and
like
thought it was Pokemon. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's nice, right? Like noticing those little things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those items are really good. In our experience, like I've seen a lot of people talking about them in the community. They've become popular. I fully recommend you try it if you have the extra resources to level them up to, I would say, at least level 10 to get that extra effect. And try it out and see how you like it. Let us know what you think of those items, and feel free to comment that in the comments below. That's our community section, right? Those are things we've heard from the community. We've experienced them. We want to share them with you. Now for the last section of our today's podcast.
Yeah.
Our experience playing Pokemon Unite over the past week, right? How has our experience been with this new patch? We were excited to talk about.
Yeah.
So Andrew, how has your Pokemon Unite been going this past week? I did happen to hear you hit a new rank.
Yeah. So actually, a couple nights ago, I was streaming. I stream relatively every night. Pokemon Unite ranked, and maybe just sometimes also some fun with JSide here, and also my friend Kira. I hit Ultra. And woo! And I literally told myself the week before on Twitter, soon I'll be making a post saying that I'm going to be making Ultra because I just made Veteran. and that was like the week before. So I've kind of been week by week getting to the next one, so hoping to look for Masters next. But rule of thumb, every time I get to it, I always fall back to the rank before comfortably sitting in it. So I'm sure I will fall the veteran at least once before I can kind of make that push to Masters. But my experience overall has been a lot less ghost seeing.
A lot
less Gengars, and a lot less even Zoroarks. I think the speedsters as a whole have kind of been falling off a little bit. Because soon we'll get into our top Pokemon, and I don't believe there's not a speedster in either one of our top choices.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I noticed a lot more Charizards, a lot more Wigglytuffs, a lot more Venusaurs, way less Gengars. Actually, for me, I don't know if it's because I'm still like toward the latter half of Expert, but I do see a lot of Zeraoras, and it makes me sad every time.
He's not as good, anymore.
He's not as good. He's also, like, depending on the build you pick, he's not that fun to play against either.
No, it's and here's what I've noticed: Zoroark is very. If you're not ahead, you suck. And I mean that could be said for a lot of things, but there are Pokemon with good comeback mechanics as long as you grind it out a little bit. Example, Gardevoir. But Zoroark, literally, I feel like if you don't get so snowballed ahead in the very opening, you're gonna struggle for the rest of the game. And even by in game, I feel like he's not as useful because Pokemon have just tanked up a little bit, got a little bit stronger, and I think Zoroark just plateaus early.
Yeah, Zeraora is not really like, it's funny because, like, I actually didn't know who he was when I started playing Pokemon Unite. And Zeraora is, like, actually a legendary Pokemon, supposedly. So, like, I was really surprised at how not powerful. Like, I mean, at first it was like, wow, he's pretty strong. But
he's
then
one of the best.
You start to realize, like, oh, he in Pokemon Unite, you start to realize, like, oh, he's actually, like, not that strong. And it makes me kind of feel like it's, like, kind of a waste. Like, I wish he was strong because he's a legendary, but at the same time his playstyle is, like, just kind of run in your face and do just like AoE static or whatever it is. And I'm sure we'll see some tweaks to him in the future. They seem to really like this Pokemon, that's why I guess they put him in so early, but we'll see. I've still been seeing some, but definitely less than before, less speedsters. And yeah, I mean, I'm feeling some of the patch notes, man. Like, Charizard's really strong, Wigglytuff's really strong. Yeah, like,
and Gengar's not as strong. And the patch notes really reflected that, because, like, I have seen more when I do see Gengar, which is kind of a rare occasion for me nowadays. I never see Sludge Bomb anymore. I only see Shadow Ball, and I still see Hex though. But sometimes I will see the occasional Dream Eater. But overall, you don't see Sludge Bomb at all.
Yeah, so it seems like the patch effectively shook up the meta. So people have decided to try different things. I think that a certain amount of this involves the fact that people have gotten more time with the game. They've gotten maybe some people decide to spend money, some people just use coins, but people are purchasing more Pokemon to try out different play styles. And I think it's getting a little bit better every time. And I hope that they keep patching to get to the game to a healthier place, because at first it was pretty much the same Pokemon over and over again, and now we get a little bit more variation, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Except I still do feel like there is going to be those top ones, and we'll get to it when we get to our top ones, mine specifically.
Oh, yeah.
But
we're going to get to that right now.
All right, then do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, so let's talk about our personal top 3. Now, I'm going to say strongest, but that doesn't necessarily mean, like, who do you think is the top 3 strongest, but who do we see a lot? Who is strong? Who feels stronger now since the update? And then our bottom 3. And I'm going to let you go first, Andrew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead and tell me your top ones, and, like, why do you feel like they're up at the top?
All right, so I'm going to actually say each one, no particular order, and I'm going to tell you a quick little thing. Why? First up is Gardevoir, and I also have in parentheses mid to late game, and also only specific if you happen to have a laner that lets you get all the farm, or even take Gardevoir mid, because then you have all the farm. Gardevoir does so much damage, specifically when you take Psyshock. Psyshock is the bane of my existence. I've never seen Future Sight. Never seen Future Sight before.
Yeah,
because everyone's taking Psyshock because it does 3 attacks each time, and it hurts so much.
Yeah, and every hit, the cooldown goes down.
And not just that, her Unite move also is dumb. I hate it. I hate it so much because, like, you have that Unite move specifically in, like, a Rotom fight or a Dreadnought or even, more importantly, Zapdos, because he didn't get nerfed at all and still isn't getting nerfed for some reason. It controls it. It controls the fight. If you've got a decent or good Gardevoir, as long as they get ahead, if they get stomped in the ground and still Ralts at, like, 4 minutes in, it's no longer top for me. But for the most part, I've seen Gardevoirs, specifically mid to late game. Like, if you get level 10 early on, you're gonna stomp. Gardevoir is so strong, and it blows my mind.
All right, so Gardevoir is one of your tops. And what about who else you got?
All right, so Gardevoir, and next I'm gonna do is Wigglytuff. So Wigglytuff, I think, is the surprise strong one, because sometimes people just kind of sleep on it because, like, oh, it's a sport, it's not gonna do damage. Wrong. So even we did quick battles yesterday, and I discovered something by accident. So yes, she is a special attacker, right? Like, I'm gonna double check real quick. She is a special attacker, right?
Right.
But for some reason, and maybe I was just imagining it, and I'm wrong. But for some reason, I got a crit yesterday for so much damage because I accidentally left my spec lens on that are level 30. Or spec scope, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, we did lose that game. So maybe in the end it did still suck, but not just that. In my opinion, the proper, I think a better move is Rollout and Dazzling Gleam than the double slap Sing combo. And the reason is, we had some games the other day where those 2 areas where you battle Dreadnought and Rotom, there's 2 little pillars, right?
Right.
You get your rollout going, and if there's Pokemon in between those pillars, they're dead. It's there's nothing to say, but they're dead. Because you keep, each time you hit a wall, you gain more momentum and you do more damage and stuff like that. You're dead.
You reset your cooldown too.
Yep. It's dumb. And you will die. And also Dazzling Gleam just does surprisingly amount of damage, plus it slows. So Wigglytuff is super strong, and I've been seeing it a lot more, especially getting to the higher ranks. Before I do my final one, who I think is actually in a tier of his own, and is the most strongest Pokemon, and if you don't have one on your team and they do, unless that person's brain dead, you're gonna win, or that other team's gonna win. Honorable mention goes to Mr. Mime, and I'm looking, and I know why you're laughing a little bit. Mr. Mime, but only if the person knows what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But other than that, my top Pokemon, who I believe is in triple S tier by himself because they do so much damage, and one of their moves is slept on, and it's getting a buff in the next patch, is Snorlax. Snorlax is the strongest Pokemon in this game, and for a defender to do so much damage, and Flail is so slept on, and does a ton of damage, and it's getting a buff. You're going to start seeing Flail a lot more, and get ready. First of all, his CCs that he have with his barrier block or snore or yawn, whatever.
Oh, yawn, yeah.
Heavy slam, it sucks, but not as bad as block and yawn is. Sleep in general in this game.
You mean being hit by it, right?
Yeah, being hit by it, because I think sleep in general, even with Wigglytuff, needs to be nerfed. I hate it. Sleep lasts way too long because you're either going to die or you're going to get hit with another CC right afterwards. Like, I can't play the game if I get hit by it. 2, the block. Man, is it annoying because you get hit by it and then you have no time to react, and they moved up close to you where you just get hit by it again, and you're probably dead at that point, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it definitely is not fun. It's very frustrating to play against.
And he does his role correctly too, with also putting out damage. He does his role correctly because it takes forever to kill him, especially depending on what items you have on him. It is ridiculous how long it takes to kill Snorlax, but also he provides so much for the team. If you have a Snorlax on your team that knows what he's doing and, like I said, isn't a bot, you're gonna win. unless it's mirror, you have a mirror matchup as well, which,
Right.
geez, like I can't describe how much Snorlax has been the most frustrating Pokemon for me to fight against. And I know how to play him now, but when I first started trying to play, I was like, I'm gonna learn this Pokemon. I sucked, and it made me frustrated because it was like, what? But now I know how to play him, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's stupid. It's so strong. Sorry.
Yeah. So Gardevoir, yeah, Gardevoir, Wigglytuff, Snorlax, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So I mean, Snorlax definitely. I think everybody has experienced the power of Snorlax in
Yep.
Pokemon Unite right now. So definitely interested to see how Snorlax moves around the meta, especially if Blastoise as a defender comes in, and maybe more people start picking supports like Blissey.
That I'm excited for. Excited for Blissey.
Right. So, okay, so those are your top, and then I'll go over my tops.
Yeah.
So same, no particular order. Greninja for me. Like I started, it used to be that before the patch, I would see a Cinderace every single game, and if someone wasn't Cinderace, someone would switch to Cinderace at the end, including myself, before you go into the game. And now I kind of see Greninja instead as like the sort of dedicated 80 carry kind of auto attacker. And you know, Greninja with his Surf reset is super strong.
Yeah.
So he's very, very useful in team fights. Very, very you know, like he can steamroll. Like he can, what's it called?
He can
snowball.
He can
Yeah,
snowball really hard.
Snowball really hard. And you know, when a Greninja's ahead, your whole team is basically ahead, and it's really scary fighting Greninja. And so I've started playing Greninja more recently too, and you know, he's also fun to play. So it's really I'm really interested in this upcoming patch because it's actually going to buff his other move so we can kind of see some variation in Greninja plays. And Smoke Screen is really strong, so they're gonna nerf it a little bit and buff Double Team a little bit. So I'm really interested in seeing how he's gonna play a little bit after that. So Greninja. So Machamp. And so Andrew plays a lot of Machamp. We've played a lot together.
So much Machamp. He's my main for sure.
I played him for the first time the other day on Quick Battle because he was free, and he is really fun and really interesting to play in this like current meta of Pokemon like Slowbro, Snorlax. You have Ninetales, all this CC going around. When he can just run through it and grab you, it just feels really satisfying. And I think that it's really scary when you're on the other side and you think you're safe behind a Snorlax or something, and you just see Machamp run through everything and grab you. And you know, like I said, I usually play like Greninja or Cinderace, usually squishy characters, and Machamp grabbing you, slamming you with submission, and then getting hit with cross chop or whatever that move is called, where he like what's the Unite move called? It's like, you know, he does a bunch of hands.
Oh, it's Barrage Blow. Yeah, Barrage Blow.
So that is a really strong combo that he has built into his kit there, and it's really satisfying to play as. It's really terrifying to play against. It's really strong, and like I don't think he's like top S tier character or anything like, but you know, he does what he is meant to do really well, and I think that there are a lot of people figuring out how to use that in the current meta of Pokemon characters. So a really good Machamp is really scary to play against, especially if you're playing one of the squishier carry roles. Like I usually play a lot of Pikachu and those people, and if Machamp grabs you, he's pretty much done. So that's why Greninja and him are up there on the top 2 of my 3. And the last one is, surprisingly, my starter, Charizard. And Charizard, I love Charizard. I mean, a lot of people love Charizard, but at the beginning he was kind of underwhelming in terms of how much damage. Yeah, he looked like he did a lot of damage, but he didn't, right?
Yeah.
And so now he actually does a decent amount of damage, like significantly more since the update. And I've seen people just fly in as Charizard and take out entire groups of teams in team fights with just the auto attack, basically, and with Fire Blast, and just obliterate people that are not paying attention to him, because I think people are used to not paying attention to him from when he was weak, and now he's so strong that people ignore him and then he kills them, and it's it's crazy like how many times I've seen my team ignore a Charizard. Again, like Machamp, when you see Charizard fly up in the air, you know he's gonna grab someone. So it's really scary to think like, oh, I'm really squishy, and if this Charizard grabs me, I'm gonna die, and you can't stop him because he can just fly over to you. So those two are really, really interesting, and I've been seeing them a lot more since the last update.
Yeah.
And
not so much Charizard for me though. Like,
yeah.
I do think it is rank dependent, but even so, I do think he's definitely a lot stronger than he was, and I think he could creep into the higher ranks because I think people are just sleeping on him.
Yeah, I will say that like I have been seeing him. I do play a good amount of standard and quick battle games as well. So just seeing a lot of Charizard kind of surprising because I didn't see like any Charizards in the first 2 weeks of the game. So those are my top three: Greninja, Machamp, Charizard. Now, Andrew, who are your bottom three? Who are the people that you see the least, or you were just like you feel like don't have a place in the game right now? Like who are your bottom three?
So I'm gonna save one, and I want us both to leave this one for last because it is the one Pokemon we have on both of our list.
Okay.
And I want to count down and both say it at the same time. So I will wait to hold that one off. And a little disclaimer for this, by the way. These bottom Pokemon are just how we feel overall, because I do truly think that every Pokemon can be viable in the right player's hands.
Agreed.
But this is for the general overall which Pokemon can like either carry like we did with our top ones or really need a little bit more time like these bottom ones. And I do think in the next patch 2 of mine are actually going to get two get buffs. So I think they're
just
gonna
remember this is our opinion.
Yeah,
so.
And I do think these two will probably be removed from my bottom based off the patch notes. So Crustle, and as much as I love playing Crustle, and he's probably my favorite defender to play at the moment, because though Snorlax is strong, I don't have fun playing him. I feel bad when I play him. And then Slowbro, I like Slowbro, but at the same time, it's like I just don't feel like I'm having fun with him, like at all. Crustle, I feel like I'm having tons of fun with him because he can be a tank, but also he can deal some damage, and I love it. I mean, same thing with Snorlax, but Snorlax doesn't have that move that makes me want to cry, and
why
I
is
cry
he in your
for the
bottom
ending.
three?
He's in my bottom three because why would you pick him? Why pick Crustle when definitely Slowbro and Snorlax are better? Like overall, they're both better. Slowbro has the great stun and CC with Surf and Telekinesis. So why would you not do that? Plus his ult is really good. And Snorlax is Snorlax. You've already heard my whole spill on Snorlax. So Crustle, he's got some setups. I've seen a lot of people doing Stealth Rock, or not Stealth Rock, Shell Smash, which gives them a speed boost and also attack boost, right? But and then also maybe going X Scissor afterwards, because you do that and then he does X Scissor and does an obscene amount of damage. But I do think the better build is the Rock Tomb, and then you could pick either Stealth Rock or X Scissor. It doesn't matter.
The Rock Tomb.
Rock Tomb, excuse me. But yeah, his ult is fine. Gives him a really big shield. It's fine. But it's just like, for a defender standpoint, why pick him? Because it's like you have two other better ones, and yeah, maybe that'll change after these buffs. Unless you're like a huge Crustle fan or Bug Pokemon fan in general, and because he's the only bug in the game at the moment, I just don't see a reason to pick Crustle when the other two are just better, in my opinion. Unless you are really good as Crustle, and if you are, that's great. Then continue to play it. And the other one I have is Garchomp when it's not late game. But for the most part, he still sucks. One, he's useless as Gibble and Gibite. Like, legitimately useless. Unless you just have someone who is a OTP Garchomp. And he just... There's a character in League of Legends called Riven, who either does really, really well, or really, really bad, and have almost the exact same ult as Garchomp. That is how I feel about Garchomp. You either have someone who's really, really good, or Ents. And I was debating between Garchomp and some other Pokemon that were also like this, but I was like, ultimately, I think Garchomp is the one I see just do worse more. because it's more, I think people just haven't truly figured out how to play him, or maybe he is just too weak, hence the buffs that are coming out. I do think he's going to rise in stock after this buff comes out, because I do think Garchomp has the potential to be one of the best Pokemon. He's one of the best Pokemon in VGC, like in traditional Pokemon. So for him to be weak in Unite, that ain't gonna fly. So I think this is just a temporary. I think 2 of these Pokemon, this is their temporary home. This third one that we both have, he might be permanently there, and that's just for unfortunate circumstances. But that's my bottom 2, and we'll do the 3 because we both share this one after you get your other 2 out of the way.
All right, so you had Crustle and Garchomp. So my bottom 2, and this is again a reflection of my games and my experience in the past week or so since the update. And Cramorant is surprisingly, I have just seen way less Cramorants. Like at first, I remember people freaking out because he was so strong, and everybody was picking him. I just saw him a lot, and now I rarely see Cramorant, and I don't even think he's like nerfed that much or even bad. Like I think he just fell out of popularity, or maybe his play style, or maybe just other people moved to the other Pokemon that became stronger. I just don't see him as much, and I thought it was kind of surprising that I don't. I'm okay with it because like he's kind of really strong when used correctly, and I don't want to see too many Cramorants running around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, just since the update, noticed way less Cramorants. And the next one is Mr. Mime, and since the game came out, Mr. Mime has not been that popular. I think it's a similar situation to like Crustle and like you were talking about, Andrew.
Yeah.
Where like, why would you pick Mr. Mime when there are so many better supports?
Yeah.
And
like Wigglytuff.
and it's actually hard to use Mr. Mime correctly compared to the other supports because he uses a lot of skill shots. He has to aim most of his abilities. He has to aim his wall, and then he has to aim his stun into the wall move, and that takes a lot of skill. And in the state of Pokemon Unite as it is right now, and the controls on the Switch, it's really hard to consistently do that. The way you want to, especially with the targeting system the way it is. And I think that's probably a huge reason you don't see a lot of Mr. Mimes, despite Mr. Mime himself being a really popular character. Like I actually love Mr. Mime, and I was excited to play as him, and I'm still going to play as him like from time to time. But he definitely isn't my first pick for a ranked team, and I think that a lot of people, unless you become the most skilled Mr. Mime, you practice a lot. A lot of people would be disappointed to see Mr. Mime on their team because like he's not reliable. It's hard to think that your Mr. Mime is actually going to do everything right because it's so difficult.
And let me reiterate for those who might be watching and being like, oh, I'm in Master, I see Mr. Mime all the time. We're talking about the overall general view of the game. Yes, Mr. Mime has played a lot in Masters, but we're talking about for everybody, not just for you people who get to Master then don't play anymore or they throw their games.
Yeah, and like there is a lot of varying character choices between, like I said, I play standard, quick battle, and ranked, and I don't see these Pokemon. Like I don't see these Pokemon that much, and in my experience, they're missing, right?
But yeah, and
so
this
is
why. Sorry. It's just like, and this is why you see differences in mine and JSide's comparisons and tops and bottoms, because majority of what I play is ranked. I majority play ranked for the most part. So what I see and what
you don't see,
or what I don't see, is very different from what he sees and don't sees. Because he probably plays 50%, like 50-50-50, or however 33-33-33 of the different 3 game modes. Meanwhile, mine is literally like 95-5, or more like 97-3. It is what it is, and yeah. So sorry about interrupting you, but that was just like, that's probably why ours is like so different.
Yeah, well, it's our experience.
Well,
right?
There's one.
Right, and there's one left where we both agree on this Pokemon being in the bottom 3 for many reasons. But yeah, let's go ahead and say who our bottom third Pokemon is.
3, 2, 1. Talonflame. It's Talonflame, and it's the only time you'd see Talonflame is if someone just got the skin and he wants to show it off. Because why would you pick Talonflame when Gengar, Zoroark, and even Absol exists? Absol, underrated Pokemon too, just because Gengar, actually, Speedsters right now are just not, in my opinion, just not priorities right now, because you rather get those hyper carries in the jungle so they can get farm more. but
Right.
it's just Talonflame's so bad. He's so weak. And like there are probably some good Talonflame players out there, and that's great. Including myself. He was my first Pokemon, and I really wanted to be a speedster player main. But it just didn't turn out. I ended up being more of a balanced player because I love playing Machamp Lucario right now. And even some Charizard on the side. But it's like Talonflame's so bad. Maybe because I only did Flame Charge though.
Very underwhelming, kind of disappointing. I've personally, so funny story. The other day when Andrew and I were playing, Andrew was talking about how he really wanted the Talonflame skin because Talonflame was his starter, and I happened to get it
instantly right after I said it too.
That
and I was
moment.
so mad.
And I have almost zero interest in playing Talonflame. So I was like, okay, sure. So I got the skin. Let me try him out, and he's fun. Like I really like his play style, but I've tried him in a couple games in Quick Battle Standard. I even tried him in a couple ranked games, and his damage his kit isn't very hard to understand. His moves aren't very hard to understand, but his damage is underwhelming.
Oh yeah.
And you would think for a Pokemon who's like fast and quick and can kind of weave in and out of battle, you think he would have more ways to escape or he would have more options, but he kind of just goes in, and if you can't kill the Pokemon that you're trying to aim for when you go in, then you're pretty much sitting dead in the water there. Like you don't have much options, and your cooldowns are kind of long, and yeah, I think Talonflame right now is just in not a great place, and I'm really expecting there to be some major buffs for him coming for him in the future.
Yeah.
But definitely bottom 3 for both of us.
Yeah. And like Talonflame only has 2 things going for him right now. He is technically the fastest Pokemon in the game, even though it doesn't feel like it sometimes.
Right.
And then secondly,
passive, right?
Yeah, and then secondly, he does have steal potential. I have stolen a couple like Dreadnoughts and stuff with his Brave Bird or Fly. He's got steal potential, but besides that, he doesn't do anything. He runs around and maybe tries to score. So maybe if you want to run an item set where he's only dedicated to just getting around the enemy team and scoring, then yeah, maybe that actually is a solid build that could see more stock. I could actually see that with Buddy Barrier and Scoring Shield taking some precedence now. It
Goal Getter.
Yeah, and Goal Getter. So honestly, maybe running a like a Smooth Stone, not Buddy Barrier, the
Float
Score
Stone.
Shield. Excuse me?
Float Stone?
Yeah, that's. Did I say smooth? Yeah, I meant to say because that's Smooth Bell, isn't it, or Soft Bell?
Yeah, something like that.
If you run Smooth Stone, or what's it, Float Stone? Sorry, I said it again, didn't I? Float Stone. Okay. If you run Float Stone, Scoring Shield, and what was that third one you said?
Goal
Getter. Goal Getter.
Yeah.
If you run those 3, that might actually be a solid build. You can just be someone who speeds around, gets farm, and then goes score. That actually doesn't sound half bad. And yeah, I would actually like to try it. That actually sounds like it could be decent and actually give them a place in the meta, or any speedster in the meta right now, because speedsters I do feel like are a little bit weaker now ever since Aurora and Gengar have fallen in stock. I don't see them much.
I'm curious how they're going to change that up. You know, actually, I would love it if they made speedsters scoring speed significantly faster.
Oh, yeah.
Because, because that would make a lot of sense. But anyway, so those are our bottom 3 and top 3 for what we've experienced since the update. So who are your top and bottom 3? Right? Comment below wherever you're commenting, wherever you're listening. Feel free to comment and let us know. Right? We want to hear what is your Pokemon Unite experience? Who are the Pokemon you are constantly going against? Who are the Pokemon you never see?
Yeah.
So that is the bulk of our podcast today. We're going to be wrapping it up soon with some final thoughts. So, how do we feel about the game now, right? So, me personally, I definitely think the game is a bit more balanced now. That isn't just Gengar, Cinderace, Snorlax, Eldegoss, Slowbro every team. And I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with all the different Pokemon moves that have been balanced and buffed and adjusted. What about you, Andrew?
So yeah, I definitely agree. I honestly only have one high Pokemon, one low one that I feel like if they just adjusted this, I think the game would be mostly balanced. And Snorlax, bring him down a little bit, which they are doing it for some moves. And two of them that I think are really strong. And then also for Talonflame, bring him up a little bit, which Talonflame's got no buffs this next patch or anything really. So I guess maybe next time we will, but overall I think the experience is fine. outside of the master player situation. Oh, that's so annoying.
Yeah.
But overall, my experience with the game is fun. I enjoy playing the game. I mean, I'm ultra I've been grinding this game out because I love playing it. I never really do 4-hour streams, but I've been doing 4-hour plus streams of Pokemon Unite over the past few days, and I just enjoy playing the
Twitch
game.
plug.
Yeah, Twitch plug, by the way. Attilio the Hun, no spaces, all lowercase. Go ahead and catch me on Twitch. I normally stream evenings Eastern Standard Time. But yeah,
Nice.
but yeah, overall, and I usually play with this guy. So
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's keep climbing.
keep climbing.
So, what about in these final thoughts? What do we want to see next? So, like this past week of playing, what is something that you really want to that's really been on your mind? Like, oh, I really wish we had this. You know, what do we want to see next? For me, I want to see a draft picking in ranked mode, right? Like, I don't mind if there's no bans yet. I think there's a very, very small pool of Pokemon to choose from. So it doesn't make sense to me to have bans. But I don't like mirror matches. I don't think a lot of people like mirror matches. If there is a Snorlax in the game, there should just be a Snorlax in the game and not two Snorlaxes. And I get that there's a very small pool of characters per role right now, but it's not always fun and sometimes confusing to have the same characters fighting each other, especially when you get to certain ranks where you basically have the same exact team mirroring the same exact team, and it gets confusing and it's not fun. So I hope that they bring draft picking, which for those of you guys that don't know, it is when you take turns picking characters and only one of a character can exist in a single game. So like I said, only one Snorlax per game, one Charizard per game, one Cinderace. I think it would make the game a lot more enjoyable across the ranked mode.
Fun to
and
watch.
Even if they want a standard draft picking mode, that would be super great. I think I would love to see that. What about you, Andrew?
Well, yeah, because it's like that's one of the big ones I want as well, is a draft pick mode. Specifically for ranked, because right now there is no difference between standard and rank outside of you've got a little rank beside you. I would like to see some differentiations, or however you want to say it, like some differences between standard and ranked, specifically draft, where you can also start planning with your team because you can see the enemy team what they're picking. You'd be like, all right, well, they picked this, so now I want to pick this instead. It also forces players to learn something different if their Mon gets picked, and I really like that as well. The other big thing that I want alongside that would just incorporate right with draft picking is lane assignments before for ranked. Because I am tired of always calling out mid first. I always call it first, but then someone takes it anyways. And I'm going to be the good guy and, go to the other lane. Unless it's happened 3 times in a row and then I'm just like, nope, I'm staying here. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to call out middle, but then have it taken from you. So I would like there to be you able to set your preference. Wild Rift recently did this for their mobile game, and I would like Pokemon Unite to do it as well. I would like for you to select your highest preference, your middle, and your lowest, and you just get one of them. Because it's bothersome. It is so bothersome for me to get into a game expecting, because I like to go mid in solo queue because I like to get the farm, and because I don't also have to rely on people too heavily to get the farm and stuff, because sometimes you'll get a supporter that likes to take the farm also. It's just so frustrating.
That'd be great if there was the ability to do that. I think it would leave a lot of confusion for who's going where, especially when someone says they're going one way and then they end up not going that way because of whatever reason.
Yeah.
So,
and then
I would love to see that too.
Yeah, and lastly, just a small little thing. We said it last week, Zapdos nerfs. I want to see Zapdos changed in some way, because it is so frustrating that you're dominating the entire game, but the first 8 minutes truly don't matter. And I'm not going to go on a long tangent because we did this last week. Change Zapdos. Make him appear earlier. Start double points earlier. Give us an even less, have it affect less gates. Just do those 3 things, and honestly, it would be a lot better.
Change Zapdos, make lives better, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right, so, all right, guys. Well, that was today's episode of Trainers Unite. We will be coming to you soon with more content. We'll be trying to release 1 to 2 episodes a week. Thanks, guys, for listening. Leave us a comment and a review below. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you're listening. And also follow us on Twitter at at Trainers Unite PC for podcast for more shares, updates, and opinions about Pokemon Unite. Thanks for listening and keep on uniting.
See you guys.
Ciao.